Obviously, as I said in the preamble, and obviously I alluded to it, in the future when everything's clear, we can just do an tell all and say whatever you want. And then, by the way, see them on the other side, they can do the same thing. I'm sure when all the fire's gone, we can all talk about whatever was going on. But obviously, we have to resolve this topic in the interview, Ellis. So essentially, what I would ask is this: just what are your reflections on having done the Cloud9 gig, or maybe if it's not just Cloud9 gig, coaching in general? It feels like that part of your career is done now because of this, right? That chapter is closed.
I feel like I will never subject myself to another experience like that, where I feel like I surrendered a lot of freedom over my own ability to do certain things inside of my career, and I hold a lot of regret over doing it, and I also even hold guilt. I feel like there were people that were counting on me to do certain things, and ultimately it wasn't possible in the end. And the other thing about it is the thing I've spoken actually a lot about on stream is I feel very regretful and also even guilty towards Nemesis. And I've said this many, many, many times. I was very angry and I was very hurt with Nemesis for a long time. Because what a lot of people might not realize is I considered Nemesis one of my closest friends in esports. I talked to him every single day for 2.5 years on Discord, right? The amount of time I spent with him, and even when he was on Fnatic, right? I think you might know about this behind the scenes, but I helped Fnatic at many conversations or VODs or whatever. Sometimes just totally free, whatever, because I was just trying to help him. And in kind, I know that I also benefited a lot from his help in many ways, right? Nemesis, I do think was a high enough level player that while I was casting LCK and he was always appearing on my stream and we're agreeing on so many different things.
He helped legitimize you.
Sees it.
Yeah.
Right. That we're both utilizing each other, and yes. I knew about the stuff going on with him on Fnatic, and I had said to him come to Korea, come to Korea and boot camp and stream and everything. And I told him, you come here, I'll raid you, I'll host you, and everything else like that. And truth be told, the original plan was to have him also join T1 as a content creator. And then that wasn't something that was gonna go on, obviously, because they I already occupy the space, right? LCK co-streaming was only supposed to have one person per slot, per team, right? Each team had one person. So then what ended up happening is, I talked to Arnold and I got him to come out, or I got Arnold. Arnold was gonna hire Crowny and Nemesis, because both weren't gonna have a team, and we were gonna, do all that stuff. And so a lot of time passed with visas and other stuff, and he finally got here that year. And then shortly after he got here and we moved here, I actually left, and I went on that 6-week. I disappeared for 6 weeks. I wouldn't call it a break. I literally moved to a different city in Korea. I was so burnt out. I was dealing with probably, I mean, up until that point at least, the worst mental health period of my life, right? And playoffs had all ended, right? And we're just waiting for Worlds. So I saw it as an opportunity to just step away. And he would message me, he'd check in on me and everything. And I was avoiding everyone. I would barely talk to anyone. So I had moved to Daejeon. I had just I'd gotten an apartment there and whatnot. And in October and November, this is when the first stuff started happening with C9. I was offered C9. This is all public before I joined, or shortly after joining C9. This wouldn't be anything I haven't said on stream before. After it was announced I was on C9, I was contacted during Worlds. October was the first contact, and I really wanted to do this with Nemesis because I was burnt out with co-streams and I was burnt out with streaming. And I felt like I was just getting so bitter and negative and resentful towards so many things. I just thought okay, this might be the best chance to get like-minded players together in one area. Let's like do this together. And he didn't want to do it. And at that point, I felt like in my mind, I had already made up the decision that I have to, because so many other people are counting on me, like Max and Fudge, right? And then if we go back to the like loyalty thing that we talked about before, like that like friendship, right, where it feels like family, it felt like there was more people that needed me or wanted me to do the C9 thing than not. And it just seemed like if I didn't do this opportunity, that would be it. Like it never probably would come up again. And so I took it, but I was livid with him and I was so mad. And I just felt, I don't know, I felt so fucking angry and just hurt and bitter. And I don't know, I never talked to him again after that. And I remember I had said something that was kind of nasty to someone that both him and I knew about him, where I just felt like, you know, I think I said something like, he's just an opportunist. You know, it felt like he literally just didn't care about me at all, or like the others, right? Because we had similar friends, and it just felt like the decision that he made was selfish, whereas in reality, I think he came out to Korea for me, right, to do the content and fucking do stuff together. And reflecting on it now, I was so caught up in my own downward spiral. And leaving Korea, I felt, now I see it as I shouldn't have left when he didn't want to leave too. And then I should have gone back and like done everything that he came out here to do. And I didn't. But I painted him in my mind negatively. So that's one of the fallouts I feel very bad about. And it also makes me feel very bad that there's a lot of people that hold Nemesis in a negative light, whether it be because of his skill level or persona or something like that. That hurts me a lot too. That fucking sucks. It really sucks. Like I feel like others would make fun of, maybe even you would make fun of me, right? Where it almost sounds like another selfie situation, but Nemesis is literally, he's very, very insane as a player. And I feel like anyone who watches his stream should be able to see that. But much like with me, people can't put past the way that he might say things. And so they just disregard whatever skill and other stuff he might have. And it sucks. And then obviously there's arguments and there's other stuff that could have happened, but that's how the C9 stuff transpired, with like the build up and a fallout that happened with C9, and that's one of my that's probably my biggest regret over the C9 thing. And I feel like it was, as someone that has been so cautious throughout my entire career, and so risk averse and so planning and premeditated with career moves and decisions and, you know, my work ethic again and everything up until that point, I feel so stupid that everything went the way that it did. And
I've got a question for you. Here's the follow-up, right? The question is this, LS, because I think this will define what you think about that period. If you could go back in time, you get two choices. It depends where you want to go back in time to. Would you go back in time now to before you joined Cloud9 and just not join? Or would you go back to the moment when you got fired or told to leave and try and just tough it out and just make it work for a split? Which of the two would be better right now?
Oh, never doing it.
Right. I think that's a fair point. That's a fair conclusion to come to then. Okay.
I was already on the... It's not his fault, but really, I do really feel like I cast my vote to Joe Marsh. It's not his fault, but him and some other really close people to me were the final casting votes, right. Sort of. But you know, and again, it's really not his fault. And then to Joe Marsh, like after everything happened, right? Joe Marsh was the one that was literally taking care of me in LA before I came back, after I came back, everything else. It just sucks, man. It really, it will, I think at this point, it will forever be my largest blunder. That's the only way that I can ever. I mean, there's a lot of good that did come out of it, right? I feel like I grow as a person. I reflect a lot on decisions that I made that led up to it. I reflect a lot on decisions that, you know, what do I prioritize in my life, right? Why do I view certain things certain ways? What do I take for granted? Like, do I, you know, it made me appreciate streaming more. In its own weird way, it really did, right? It made me. I had a third wind for LoL, right? That's the way I would call it, right? It made me like LoL again, in its own way. So it's not like there's only negatives that came out of it. There's a lot of positives as well, but there's a lot of bittersweetness with it, right? Where I feel like there's so much growth that happens through reflection and through replaying scenarios that happened and decisions that I made and, you know, behaviors that, you know, I would have had prior to and after and whatnot. And, yeah, it's, but knowing everything that I know now in an interesting way, I would not repeat it in order to get to where I'm at right now. Which is kind of odd because, like, I've said that I would go through all the trials in the past that I have, right, to get to where I'm at right now. But I think, like, if I could go back in time with all the knowledge that I have right now, I would not. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't repeat the process.
Okay,
but again,
as I said, yeah, go on.
One of the things I always say, right? I always say this. I feel like I live by this. It's why I tried to always live in a glass house. Is that actions over a prolonged period of time is infinitely more honest than any words that someone can say. It's just how it is. And I feel like that rings deeply true in esports. Yeah, that's how I would end that part.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.